Well, I shouldn't think of this as often as I do. Um, but remember the movie Step Brothers? I'm not going to quote Will Ferrell. I'm not going to quote John C. Riley. I'm going to quote good old. I shouldn't say old. Good, lovely Mary Steenburgen, who has one of my favorite lines in that movie. And if you remember in this critically acclaimed film, right when Dale Doback and Brennan Huff are fighting on the lawn, when you know what's really hitting the fan upon them first becoming not only stepbrothers but roommates, and Will Ferrell's character and John C. Riley are fighting with a golf club, a bicycle. They're fighting it out pretty well, baseball bat, and then they hit each other in the head and they go down like a sack of potatoes. If you remember, Mary Steenburgen is there on the front lawn. And she's got a hose, and she's trying to hose him down to cool him off. The two guys fall to the ground, and the camera gets a close up of Mary Steenburgen, and she goes, "What the bleeping bleep?" In the fourth and fifth inning of last night's Phillies game, I was thinking about lovely actress Mary Steenburgen, who says, "What the bleeping bleep?" Because when Ranger Suarez, when Christopher Sanchez, and Andrew Bellotti combined to throw 91 pitches in the fourth and fifth inning and allow 12 runs, walk in 2 runs, have a grand total of 6 walks in those 2 innings. And specifically Christopher Sanchez, who threw 30 pitches in this game, only 15 of them were called strikes. I say called strikes and not in the strike zone because there were most of his pitches, the vast majority of his pitches were not in the strike zone. And he just got some help from some batters in the fourth inning, in particular, fourth and fifth inning in particular. And the wheels just popped off of the Phillies bandwagon last night in Arizona. I know a lot of you were staying up to watch at least some of it. And I'm sure when you get into the fourth inning and you look and see that your team is up 7-0, you're like, you know what? They got this. The bullpen's been pretty good as of late. It's time to go to bed. And Mally, I saw you, buddy. Mally from our comments. Mally tweeted me early this morning, said I went to bed at 7-0. So did the Phillies bats, Mally, as I told you on old social media there. So did the Phillies bats. So did the Phillies arms, because Ranger Suarez was cooking. Absolutely cooking in this game last night in the first 3 innings of play. And that was it. If this was any other sport, we'd be talking about how it was the tale of 2 halves. This team showed up in the first half. The other team showed up in the second half. That's how they got their asses kicked late in this game. Tale of 2 halves. Well, you can't really use that in baseball, but that's kind of what it felt like last night because the Phillies did everything right in the first 4 innings of that game yesterday. Well, the first 3.5 innings of play. They did some great things. Bottom half of that fourth, bottom half of that fifth, totally different team. And it's all because of the pitching. The bats obviously were popping off last night. When you get 7 runs by the fourth inning, 7 runs by the third inning, really, and you're chasing Madison Bumgarner, who I told you yesterday, we all know by now, he's not the same Madison Bumgarner that pitched for the Giants years ago and helped dismiss the Phillies from the playoffs en route to what would have been hopefully another World Series. No. Not that same Madison Bumgarner. Not that World Series MVP Madison Bumgarner. Not even close. Phillies chase him from the game. Phillies put up 7 runs. Kyle Schwarber, he hit a Schwarbomb in this game. 430 feet to right field. Just blasted a 3-run home run. Gave the Phillies that 7-0 lead. Bryce Harper comes up, gets a double in that fourth inning. The Phillies would not get a hit for the rest of the game. And you know what? I can't be mad at him for it. Phillies put up 7 runs. You want to talk about run support? How about 7 runs by the fourth inning? Yeah, that's run support. And then you go stand around for an hour in the field. I can't imagine it's too easy to get back into that dugout and take some hacks. It was awful. One of the worst losses I have ever seen following this Phillies team. One of the worst losses I've ever, because it was in hand. It was in hand. You had lost 5 games in a row against the Arizona DBacks in Arizona. You're like, all right, well, at least you'll push that away. It's a totally different team. Topper, good old Philly Rob has got this team playing at a great level. They're not going to do that thing that we said they're not going to do anymore, which is play down to their opponent. They don't play down to their opponent anymore. That's not this Phillies team. I told you that a couple weeks ago. I reinforced it yesterday. Guess what they did yesterday? They played down to their opponent yesterday. You think everything's great, everything's hunky-dory. 7-0. And I did have that thought because I wanted to go to bed at 7-0. I was like, I can go to bed. And then the fourth inning, and this is what was so unbelievable in this game. You get 2 outs in the inning. You've already allowed a couple of runs to cross in that fourth inning. Gene Segura, who I believe it was in the second inning, fielded a ground ball off the bat of Carroll, who was just busting it down the line. This guy can just flat out fly down the line. And he barely beats him out. Barely beats him out with a throw. Then in the fourth inning, almost a very similar situation. He hits a grounder to Gene Segura at second base, 2 outs in the inning. Segura bobbles it. It looked like it took a bad hop. He should have made the play. Gene Segura should have made this play. He did not make the play. He was going deeper to his right, couldn't come up with it, fired to first, couldn't get the out, unfortunately. It would have been a 7-3 or 7-2 ball game getting out of that inning. Instead, another run scores, and then Kelly steps up to the plate for the Diamondbacks, and he belts him on a 2-run double to right field. A couple of 2-run doubles for him in the ball game yesterday. It was awful. And then from that point on, it just felt like, okay, this isn't a little leak anymore. This isn't a little leak by Ranger Suarez. This isn't a little struggle by Ranger Suarez. This is all-out panic right now. Because in that situation, you get Rivera to score in the air. It makes it 7-3. You could have been out of the inning. Then Ranger Suarez goes on to walk another batter. Bases are loaded. Kelly steps up, hits the 2-run double. Bases clearing double to right field. Made it a 1-run ball game, 7-6. Then you bring in Sanchez. He's able to get out of the inning. Gets Rojas to ground out to him, as a matter of fact. And then they're still winning, 7-6. End of the fourth inning. Top of the fifth inning, you go down 1-2-3. It felt like a 2-minute inning, basically. Then in the bottom of the fifth, for the second time in as many innings, the Arizona Diamondbacks bat around in their order. They did it in the third. They did it in the fourth. They did it in the fourth. They did it in the fifth. It had to be at least an hour. That's what it felt like watching this game. And I have not seen someone lose the strike zone the way Ranger Suarez did. And I've not seen someone lose the strike zone the way Christopher Sanchez did. Both guys in the same game, back-to-back innings. Christopher Sanchez looked terrified on the hill. He looked like he had never been a closer before in his life and was trying to close out Game 7 of the World Series. That's what it felt like in a same situation. He couldn't throw a strike. Who's the guy's name? Garrett Stone Garrett, is that his name for the Diamondbacks? He helped him out by swinging at a couple of pitches that were well outside the zone. But other than that, Sanchez just looked like a completely lost pitcher. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's the fifth inning of a game. Right? I know you just took out Ranger Suarez. I know Christopher Sanchez just came in. You're looking at a bases-loaded situation. And Rob Thompson has nobody up in the Phillies bullpen. And I'm thinking, how do you have nobody up when this guy, everybody sees he cannot throw a strike to save his life? And if you just look at the box score, it doesn't even tell the full story. Because at 30 pitches, 15 of them for strikes, it wasn't even close to that. It's more like maybe 10. Maybe 10 were in the strike. Maybe 10, and that's being generous. We're inside the strike zone. And I'm looking at these guys' base loaded situation. Nobody in the bullpen warming up. And I'm thinking, okay, go ahead and burn your bullpen tonight. Just roll through these guys. At least you got your ace going tonight, Tuesday night with Aaron Nola on the hill. Let's see that. Let's go ahead. If there's going to be a night for you to burn your bullpen, tonight would be that night. And he didn't have anybody up. Finally, Andrew Bellotti gets up, starts throwing around a little bit. He comes to the game. He has his own struggles. But combined, 91 pitches. 91 pitches! Get through the fourth and fifth inning. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I'm thinking this is a great start to the road trip, 4th inning, great start to the road trip. You got 7 runs on the board. Kyle Schwarber in his 36th home run of the season. Alec Boehm's hitting the baseball. JT Realmuto's driving in a run or two. You're having yourself a nice time in the beginning of the it's going to be worth it to stay up. Energy's high. Feel great. Don't even need my second espresso of the night. I'm good. And then it was like, okay, this is bad. This isn't bad, just bad. This is historically bad for the Phillies last night. I talked yesterday about the dark recesses of my mind and where I go when it comes to the Phillies really struggling. And it goes to September is where it goes. We have one more day after today. So we have full today, full tomorrow, 2 days, we could say, left in August. September is the ominous month. It's the dark cloud over the Phillies season over the last 10 years. This doesn't really give me the warm and fuzzies going into it. But here we are. You lose the third game of the series to the Pittsburgh Pirates. You had an opportunity to sweep back-to-back series. Once against the Reds, once against the Pirates. You dropped that opportunity 2 days ago. Last night, you looked like you had a game in hand and completely blew it. It was hideous last night. If you didn't stay up to watch it, I almost recommend going back and just try to take a glimpse at that 4th and 5th inning and then just turn it off. Those will be long enough. Take a glimpse. And you tell me if you've ever seen a pitcher, as many pitchers as 3, lose the strike zone the way they did in that 4th and 5th inning yesterday. It was astonishing, is what it was. Rob Thompson after the game on what happened to Ranger Suarez and what happened to the Phillies' arms in the 4th and 5th inning.
Ranger lost the plate, and they were hitting holes and barreling them up a little bit, and couldn't get out of it. So, and then Sanchi went out in the 5th, and same thing, couldn't find the plate. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it's frustrating for everybody. But it's only one loss. We got to come back tomorrow and rebound, just like these guys have done all year, really.
Is that how you try to look at it?
Yeah.
Just one. I mean, I guess you have to, right?
Yeah. You just got to flush it and forget about it. I mean, it happens every once in a while, but you just got to turn the page and move on.
I am with just about everybody. If you watched post-game show last night, which I did, here's where I'm at. It's very simple. Everyone said flush it. Ruben Amaro said flush it. Ricky Metallico, flush it. Michael Barkane even got a flush it in as well. And, of course, Rob Thompson got a flush it. And that, of course, reminds me of Jalen Hurts. Just got to flush it, man. Last night, you got to flush as soon as humanly possible. Look, I still think the Phillies are going to the playoffs. But we've all followed this team, especially as of late over the last decade, where they just have their typical September collapse. I need as many teddy bears, rainbows, ice cream cones, puppy dogs. I need as many good feelings as possible going in September. This is not helping. Seeing one of the biggest blown leads I can remember in the fashion in which this game turned around, that does not help me. That does not help me. I can't get over it. 91 pitches in 2 innings. I was laughing at Madison Bumgarner because he was at like 79 pitches in 3+ innings of work. And I'm laughing at him. The next thing I know, I'm like, what's Ranger doing? What's going on with Ranger? Why is Gene Segura missing that play? Why is Christopher Sanchez losing the strike zone? Why is Andrew Bellotti not helping things? You walked in 2 runs. That was historically bad to the point where it was like, wow, that was actually impressive what just happened last night. Phillies do have Aaron Nola on the hill, so hopefully good things will happen there. Now, here's the good news. As bad as the Phillies were, we have a fun conversation with my dear friend, Trey Thomas, today. And as you would assume, Trey breaks down the trenches like no other, really likes that Cam Jurgens fella. And you know who else he likes? He likes that Jordan Davis fella as well. So we'll talk a little trench talk with my man Trey coming up in just a little bit. He breaks it down for us. But the Eagles yesterday, in case you missed it, did have some cuts. 4 p.m. They have to have the roster down to 53. But yesterday, Jaquiski Tart gets cut just when I finally learned how to pronounce his name, kind of. Jason Huntley, running back. Tart was the guy that a lot of people thought was going to be taken over at one of the safety positions. Didn't happen. Came over here from San Francisco. Jason Huntley, he gets cut. Greg Ward gets released. They're going to work out an injury settlement for Greg Ward. And quarterback Carson Strong, undrafted quarterback, who signed a $320,000 deal. Sounds like nothing in the world of football, but that's guaranteed money for a guy that you sign as an undrafted free agent who barely got any play, had according to a lot of the beat writers following this every single day, a historically terrible training camp, and the Eagles signed him to $320,000. That's a nice chunk of change, guaranteed, by the way. That's not like some made-up agent number for his client. No, that's guaranteed. Quarterback factory, baby. Quarterback factory. Or as Carson Strong will refer to the Eagles, the cash factory. Wow. You know how bad you had to be to not beat out Reed Sinnett in this preseason? Pretty damn bad. So the Eagles will have to have their final cuts by 4 p.m. today. A.J. Brown talked about accountability yesterday with this Eagles team, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But some interesting stuff there from A.J. Brown, because we all love that word accountability. We feel like as fans, you got to call out these players when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Got to hold them accountable. A.J. Brown sums that up pretty well yesterday. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But what if I told you this? What if I told you that the universe will balance out for us? It will balance out. But the Phillies have a historically terrible night. By the way, there's still 2 games up in the second wild card spot, so just know that. I want to acknowledge that. But what if I told you the Phillies would have a historically horrible night? An absolute implosion. But a very famous Dallas Cowboy would use the word dynasty, and it's not the first time he used the word dynasty. Michael Irvin yesterday on First Take was on the program where he was asked for his sleeper Super Bowl team. Michael Irvin, as well as a panel of Stephen A. Smith, Molly Quorum, of course, and Dan Orlovsky, told the panel this when it came to his sleeper Super Bowl team.
My sleeper team, I'm talking about all the way to Super Bowl, are the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Oh, Philadelphia Eagles.
Whoa, this is like sacrilegious.
I know it, man. And I've been talking about this all season, and on shows in Philadelphia. These are the 2 worst words for a Cowboys nation, an Eagles dynasty. I'm telling you, they are on the beginning. They're right at the verge. If they could just put the right hands on the steering wheel as the coach and got the right guy, the quarterback, they will have something special because they have special.
We only got 2 minutes, man.
Listen to that. Michael Irvin using that amazing phrase, dynasty, and I know he said it with Dan Cilio, dynasty with the Eagles. Dynasty. They got the quarterback? Whoa. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Chris Reed, Mad Dog. We were talking about him, talking about how the Eagles, they have a quarterback, they have a quarterback, they have a quarterback, they have a quarterback. Meanwhile, Michael Irvin is building dynasties with that quarterback over there at First Take. Look, I think I've talked about it before. I think the Eagles defense has the potential to be dominant. I think Jalen Hurts will prove himself as a franchise quarterback and get that contract at the end of this season. I don't think it's going to be anything close to a $40 million deal or anything like that, but I think he's going to get that contract. When it comes to this Eagles team, they have built up the offense. I think you're going to have an improved quarterback. I've talked about that at length. I've talked about this defense. I'm not sleeping on the Eagles. I think they're going to win this division. That's only going to be the beginning of it for this Eagles football team. And I think they got a couple of playoff wins in their back pocket as well. That's how good I think this team can be. I don't like wait and see. In football, you always have to wait and see who goes down because injuries are imminent. It's just the way it happens, unfortunately. In all sports, it's just the way it happens, unfortunately, but especially in football. But, man, they stay healthy. They're going to stay one solid and deep roster. And if a Cowboys fan or if a Cowboy is willing to put it out there like that, especially one who's a Hall of Famer, by the way, yeah, I would say that's cause for concern for the rest of the NFC East. At the very least, the rest of the NFC East. The very least, their division. The conference will be on notice, too. I look, preseason's wrapped. I just can't wait for the season to get underway, man. Let me tell you about my man, Steven Singer. We're here, of course, at the Steven Singer Studios. Steven is giving the perfect price at the other corner of 8th and Walnut each and every day online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. When you walk into the other corner of 8th and Walnut, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get that perfect price. You're going to get treated like a real family member by a real jeweler at Steven Singer Jewelers. Looking to get engaged, looking to buy that push present, or just that perfect present for that perfect someone in your life. Steven Singer is the place to go. Ready for love, diamond engagement ring standing by at the ready, and a real jewelry expert standing by, looking to help you out by the perfect piece of jewelry that you want to buy for that special someone in your life. So do what I do. When it comes to your jewelry purchases, trust one man. The man with the perfect price each and every day. You don't have to worry about haggling, negotiating, or anything like that, or worried about the person next to you got a better deal than you. They got the same price, the perfect price, same as you. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. One place, one price, the perfect price. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, now let me just preface this by saying something. Co-ed dorms. All right, you'll understand where I'm going with this in a second once we get to the interview. Co-ed dorms are nothing new. All right. Co-ed floors, I understand, are nothing new in some parts of the world, but like I don't feel like that was the norm in college, when I was in college a long time ago. But man, apparently that's the thing now. And Trey just had to drop his oldest son Tristan off at school, and Trey discovered co-ed dorms and co-ed floors. I'll leave the rest to the interview. Without further ado, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, my good friend, Mr. Trey Thomas. Joining us right now, the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, my dear friend, the man himself, the Eagles Hall of Famer, Mr. Trey Thomas. What's going on there, Trey?
Oh, man, all is well. I just dropped my son off at college, man. And, it was just leading up to it. I was just wandering around. I was sitting around watching Maverick, Top Gun at the house, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm trying to get into the danger zone. I'm on my highway into the danger zone, and I'm sitting up there wondering why I have this, like, clear discharge leaking from my eyes, and I'm like, babe, I think I need to call an ophthalmologist because there's something going on in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this fluid that just keeps running, and I don't know what it is. And she's like, well, we dropped Tristan off, my son, at college, and maybe that's it, that your son is about to be off on his own, and you just think back at all the years that you've been raising him, and I'm like, man, did I do a good enough job? Because are there lessons in the book that I forgot? Because he came up different from me. So I need them to understand, like, there are certain things that you need to be aware of. That you probably didn't have to deal with in the out here in the mean streets of Medford. You know what I'm saying? So. You got to kind of, I hope he's good, But one of the things, when you're dropping your child off and you go into a co-ed dorm, and all the girls are like all on the same floor. And I'm just like, I think back to my college days, I'm like, man, I wish it was like that for us. But as a parent, I'm like, whoa. What's going on here? And you see all these dads walking away from their daughters just crying, like, oh my God. I mean, just real emotional. And we're on the elevator and we're crying together because I'm like, man, you crying, I'm crying too, man. Because I'm like, oh God.
Well, when did this become a popular thing? Because I'm hearing more and more about this. The dorms in college now are like all co-ed. Like who thought of that as a good idea? Why was that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what movement this was voted in on. You know what I'm saying? Like it probably was in the fine print of a ballot that we didn't get down to, we didn't read all the way down, So yeah, that's it now. That is it. Yeah, and my son is in school, man. Yes. It's been cool. It's been cool. Like, we went and visited him this weekend, so it was good, man, Like, we just dropped him off Wednesday, and it's like Sunday. We're like, all right, that's it. We're going. We're coming to see you, Because, I mean, it's been 4 days. We're coming to check you out. I need to lay eyes on you just to make sure that you're good,
You're dropping by with the How-To Father book. Wait, no, I forgot lesson number 4. Lesson number 4, always be a gentleman. Sorry, I want to make sure.
We're going to review a couple things just to make sure that you're good.
I show up with a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes.
It's so damn good to see. And I do want to set the scene for people. Trey, as everyone knows, you are a very creative man, and you wanted to do this interview, I assume, on your deck. You show up, and you got your whole woods behind you, like you were off painting Bob Ross paintings, like I know you too. It was a beautiful setting, and we just couldn't get the connection working.
Yeah, we couldn't get it to work because I was in plein air, which is French for outside. I was outside in plein air, which is French for outside. I was outside just hanging out. Yeah, something happened with the connection, whatever. So, all right, we switched it up. Let's come back inside.
And here we are. And let's talk a little bit about that sport where you got the footballs behind you there. You have a vast expertise when it comes to the sport of football, of course, that and painting, and a great handle on the French language that I don't even know about. I have to ask you this because I've been dying to ask you this question. It's all under the caveat of the preseason and all that stuff. Cam Jurgens has people excited, and probably 2 guys that are going to be in the trenches that are rookies have everyone in Philadelphia excited when it comes to Jordan Davis and it comes to Cam Jurgens. First, your reaction to Cam Jurgens, the rookie center out of Wisconsin.
I thought he was really good, man. I really enjoyed watching him play. I think the way the offense is set up, it fits really well for him. He fits right into that, where you have him doing all the zone blocks, the pulling, getting out in space, blocking downfield. I thought he did a really good job, and I went down there for the alumni game for the first game and for the first preseason game, and was able to get out there and stand next to him. I'm like, okay, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, he reminds you of Kelsey, but he has a little bit more size than Kelsey. He seems like he's a little bit bigger. And when you go back and you watch him play, I was very impressed by him. I thought he did a really good job.
Now, is it safe to say that, because I know that people will jump on the comparison to him and Jason Kelsey, and you just mentioned it there. Is it okay to say, though, yes, not Jason Kelsey, not a guy that will likely be a Hall of Fame center one day in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but is it okay to say the same type of style as Jason Kelsey?
Oh, absolutely. He definitely has the same type of style, where you can get him out, you can get him to pull. But like I said, I think he has a little bit more size to him. So I really look forward to how he plays, to see him in some more live action, but to see how he continues to develop. But I thought he was very impressive, just to watch him get out there and do his work. Kelsey, he's going to be a hard person to replace just because of what he means to this city. But I think that the way you watch this kid play, this young man, he's not a kid, this young man step in, you can see that he can handle this, and with it being his first start, he didn't flinch. It didn't seem like there was a drop at all in his play.
Okay. And then the other side of this, the other rookie, the first round pick there, Jordan Davis. Great first preseason game. Mm-hmm. Didn't really see a lot of him in the Browns game, preseason game number 2. And then preseason game number 3, he was in there for 7 plays, at least 5 of which he was double teamed on. What did you make of Jordan Davis so far in the preseason?
I think that's what you're going to bring him in here for. You bring him in to be double teamed, just because he's a big body guy. You want him to take up the double teams. He's going to be that guy with your Fletcher or some of the other D linemen that's down there. So that's what you brought him in here to do, to take up the double team. Then when you mess around, because this defense runs so many 5-man fronts, you're going to get some one-on-one blocks and pass rush situations. So I think that's going to open up, and I think that Jordan, he's another one, an extremely athletic, massive young man. That, when you look at him and just how smooth he ran that 4.7, 6'6", 340 pounds, man. That's ridiculous to see that type of body running. And I'm just imagining if he's giving chase and you see something like that chasing you, like, what do? You know what? Timeout. I need a weapon in both hands to take care of that. Because, that is a massive man. The way you saw this man run at the combine, if he would have been 200 pounds, I think he would have had the fastest 40 at the combine. Just how athletic he looked running. It was impressive. But I think that he's going to be a force down there on that defensive front.
I certainly hope so, and he definitely seems like a guy who wakes up and chooses violence when it comes to the defensive side of the football. How is this possible, Trey? How does Brandon Brooks retire? It's another year of Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson comes back. How does all of a sudden, with a lot of young guys on this team, Isaac Seumalo coming off an injury, how does it happen where people are already looking at this offensive line and saying they're still going to be one of the best in football? Some of their backups could be starters. Their backup offensive line as a whole could be starting on somebody else's team. How does that happen? How does that transition happen?
Well, because, okay, Brandon Brooks retires, but still you got one of the best centers in the league. You know, you got Lane Johnson that comes in, one of the top tackles in the league. Jordan Mailata is one of the young, up-and-coming, probably one of the better tackles at left once he's getting better as he plays. And then now, once you saw that Isaac can handle the transition from moving from left to right and stepping in at right guard, I thought that, you have a really good offensive line. Then when you get Dickerson back in there, now you're really looking at something. And then you have Coach Stoutland, man. Like Coach Stoutland right now, as the offensive line coach, can do no wrong right now. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's like, oh, my God, he is the offensive line guru whisperer. So, you can bring anybody in there and he will make them better. So I think that plays a lot into it as well. And I think that, just because of how the season has gone, where you have a lot of injuries and guys can plug and play. And I think Opeta, even when you watch Opeta step in there and play, I thought he did extremely well, when he stepped in. So, yeah, they have a really good offensive line.
What's going to go on there with Isaac Seumalo switching sides on the offensive line there? Because that can be obviously difficult for a lot of people. All of a sudden, things that you're reacting to that you're normally seeing on your right are now on your left and vice versa. What's the adjustment like for him going from left to right?
Well, what? One of the things that I think helps Isaac is that he was a center. So that helps him a lot, because you're used to switching your stance from time to time. And I think that he had enough time to do that. When you have the entire offseason, you have, all of training camp to work through the muscle memory aspect of it to when you're switching sides, that really plays big when you have time. So I think that he's going to step in. It's not going to be a problem for him.
Good enough. Now the $64,000 question. Hell with that. The $1 million question, possibly the $40 million question, is the quarterback. You know how it goes. We all talk about the quarterback all the time. When it comes to Jalen Hurts, what are your expectations for him this upcoming season?
I think Jalen is going to be really good. This offense just plays into Jalen Hurts. I mean, everything is based off if we can get the run game going. You get this offensive line moving people downfield. They're doing a lot of the zone reads where you have to have a very disciplined backside linebacker because everything is reading that backside linebacker. If he's going to pull it, if you get that backside linebacker to shift any to the side that you're running, and then you pull it and throw it, or he can get out and run. When you go back to that Jets game, the only time that made me a little nervous is when you saw him against the Jets games, when the secondary came out there and they pressed the receivers and they were like, all right, you know what? We're going to go out here and press these receivers, and they couldn't get open. And he kind of got like, all right, you know what? I got to get out of the pocket. You need to get out of bounds, or you need to get down a little bit quicker. Or you're going to have defensive players that's out there like, you know what? I'm going to take the fine because I'm going to try to take your head off. And that's just the reality of the game. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. So you, as a quarterback, need to protect yourself, get down, or get out of bounds a little earlier.
This is the first time we've talked since your dear friend, our dear friend, Hugh Douglas, has it's been announced he's going to go into the Eagles Hall of Fame. What was your reaction when you saw old Bullet Wound get into the Eagles Hall of Fame?
Senior Bullet Wound was inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame, so I made sure I text him and like, Senior, welcome, good. Congratulations, Senior Bullet Wound.
When did he become senior? Has he always been senior?
I throw it in there every now and then. I think it just makes it sound a little bit more, adds a little touch of sophistication to the name.
Yes, of course.
So I reached out to Senior Bullet Wound, and this is like, hey, man, congratulations on getting inducted. And, he was extremely happy about it. I text Trent Cole, and Trent just said thanks. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, congratulations. Trent probably was somewhere in a perch hunting. I don't know.
I was just gonna say he probably has the arrow drawn, and he was just about to get himself a 10-point buck. And there's his boy Trey Thomas texting him. Congratulations. Thanks, buck. I need my venison.
Yeah, I'm hunting right now. I don't want to hear that. You can drop Trent off in the woods with a knife and some fishing wire, and he's gonna have at it, man. If you get lost in the woods, you want to be with Trent Cole because you'll be okay.
I concur.
You'll be all right. Yes.
I concur. Ahead of the season, Trey. Ahead of the season, we talked about your expectations for the quarterback. What are your expectations for this Philadelphia Eagles 2022 season?
Oh man, I think I can never sit up here and say, okay, hey, we're going to lose. I think this team is good, man. When you look at the depth that they had of the receiver, all of the talent that they have out there on the edges, and then as long as you can keep this offensive line healthy, man, I see this team making a very good run. I can never say, oh, we're going to be 12 and whatever, man. We going 17-0 until somebody beat us. We going undefeated. We're going to take out the 72 Dolphins record, just because I think that this team is very talented. I think you have a really talented offensive unit. I think that when you look at on the other side of the ball with the defense, extremely talented. Of course, you have some questions at safety, but I think that this is a really good group. I would like to see a little bit more action when it comes to the pass rush, being able to get after the quarterback. But I think all in all, man, this is an extremely talented team. Now the only thing that gives me a little concern is just that, you only have 7 plays that the starters played in the preseason. To me, that I know that you say, okay, hey, man, you don't want to get anybody hurt. I understand that, the injury aspect of it. But preseason is kind of the one thing that was good about preseason was getting your conditioning up to get ready to play these games. Yeah, you can. Oh, yeah, this practice was a high tempo practice, but it's nothing like going full tilt, and you never put yourself in those situations in practice. So I hope that this recipe works out, but it's kind of hard to flip that switch. To say, all right, you know what, we're going full tilt now. You haven't done it yet. You only had 7 plays. You only had 7 plays in this preseason that you were able to flip that switch and really cut loose. And now you're gonna have to wait a full month because they only played the first game, and then you took those last 2 weeks off, and then now you have 2 more weeks until the first game on 9/11. So here you go. I hope that switch works, man. Mm-hmm. I hope this is the right recipe, and I hope these guys come out ready, primed, and fired up and ready to go. But that's my only concern with it.
Along those lines, the last thing I was going to ask you, a perfect segue into it. We all know about Andy Reid's 2-a-days at Lehigh. Like we've heard those stories. We've heard you talk about that so eloquently about the times in Lehigh, about not so eloquent times, but speak about it in an eloquent fashion. It doesn't hit my ear right, so I can only imagine how it hits your ear. When you hear a coach say, we got great practice in this week, we didn't need to play in the game, it feels like we used to say preseason is glorified practice, but now it seems like the preseason, or it sounds like the practice is the glorified preseason. Yeah. What is it like when you hear practices being elevated to such importance? How does that hit your ear?
Yeah, not right. Because I know what the practice is. I mean, everything is scripted. You never get a full rush from somebody unless it's one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go to team, the quarterback has on the red jersey, so that defensive player is going to pull up on you. He's going to relax. So you never put yourself in those situations that you're going to end up in the game, and that's the reality of it. And I know, hey, we're wearing these monitors, and it shows that, hey, we thudded. We had a good thud, and it has all these readings that's showing that, hey, man, I think that this was just like a game. No, it wasn't. A game, it's tough, man. And, the conditioning of it, especially as an offensive lineman, you don't rotate out. We can't raise our hand and tap our helmet and say, hey, man, come, I need a sub. That doesn't happen as an offensive line. You can't do that if you're in a 12, 14 play drive. You sucking gas. You just out there trying to make it. And I think that that's one of the things that the preseason does for you is to help you with that conditioning that happens. You go out there and have a 12, 14 play drive, and then the defense comes out there and get a 3 and out, and then now you got to get back out there on the field. You can't simulate that in practice. That doesn't happen. Everybody has their 10, 11, 12 play drives. Then we switch. Then the defense has their plays, and then it keeps rotating. So you never really get the momentum of a game. And, you know, I hope that this works. I'm right here. I'm praying everything out that this was the right recipe. And, you know, you come out of this, and when you look around the league and you always turn on, you see all these different injuries that are happening in preseason. And you say, oh, hey, well, the Eagles came out unscathed. All right, cool. But you didn't put yourself in any strenuous situations, you know, so I hope it works out.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
Kelsey,
I'm with you.
Kelsey hurt his elbow swimming. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know. And that's what happens when you get older. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, hey, man, I reached down there for this paper clip and I threw my back in traction. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's what happens. You know, it's just, you know.
No, it's happening. No, it's happening to me, my friend. It's happening to me.
Yeah.
Trey, always great catching up with you. I'm going to let you go back to your setting in the forest, back to your art, your easel and your paint brushes, and you could just paint the scene.
Yeah, in plein air.
In plein air. In
plein air, which is French for outside.
Trey, you know I love you, brother. Thanks so much, man. Great catching up with you.
All right, my brother. Take care, man.
All right, the great Trey Thomas joining us on the Ruffin Orthopedics guest line. You got to love that guy. You absolutely have to love that guy, and I do. He's amazing. he had this beautiful setting in the woods, and just internet wasn't working, just wasn't pulling it off, and then went inside, and then we had to go in front of his giant wall of game balls. You know, that flex, because why not? Because why not? I do think about things when he's dropping off his son and stuff like that, like in my mind, and I know a few other parents have done this as well, but like I do fast forward in my brain to like that day where my daughter will not ask me to dance to Encanto for the millionth time. You know, and I do fast forward to those things just so I appreciate that moment now. And if I'm tired, if I'm dragging one day and I just don't feel like doing anything but sitting on the sofa, I try to keep that in mind. One day she's not going to ask, get off the sofa, dance with you, do something like that. And then I fast forward even further to college for her or her wedding day or whatever it might be. And it's just like, man, those emotional things I can't imagine. Like I imagine the day, but I can't imagine how I'll actually be in the day. So Trey telling me about dropping his son off at college and how he got emotional. And Trey's an emotional man. He's a very emotional man. We're very similar in that regard. Yeah, that's not a day that I don't think any parent really looks forward to. Hope I taught you everything you need. Hope I prepared you for you being on your own. You're going to make stupid decisions. Don't make really bad decisions. You're going to make a couple, but don't make really, really bad. I don't want to bail you out is what I'm saying. Don't make me bail you out of some detention center. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. There you go. There you go. Oh no, April, I just saw it pop up. 7th grade. Oh, pots and pans. Yeah, I'll say this and I bring this up because also AJ Brown, who I'm going to talk about in a second, he's expecting his first child. How beautiful is that? Everybody tells you don't blink, and that's probably the best advice. That cherish every moment. Some of the best advice. And for the fellas, practice this phrase. As I've said it in the past, practice this phrase. Whatever you need, babe. Whatever you need, babe. Whatever you need. Your mother needs to live with us for like 3 months. Whatever you need, babe. Just practice that phrase for like 3 months. That's all you'll say. Whatever you need, babe. That's the easiest thing I can tell you. It's the simplest thing. Practice that. Look in the mirror. Say it convincingly. Whatever you need, babe. And then if whatever you need, babe, leads to stress for you, go somewhere else, hide in a closet somewhere, vent emotionally, and then come back and just say it again. Whatever you need, babe. There you go. And you know what? Ladies, that's the best advice I can give a man when it comes to their partner expecting. Well, you're expecting, I guess. There's no push presence for men because, well, for obvious reasons. But if there was, I think it would be a Manscaped 4.0 lawnmower. Platinum Package 4.0. Am I right? Fellas, yeah, you want to look the best everywhere, right? You want to look your best everywhere? That's where the Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop you'll need, guys. It includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, Ear and nose hair trimmer. All with skin-safe technology as it helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. Plus, the ultra-premium body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver, ball spray toner, anti-chafing boxers, and the shed travel bag you'll be using to carry around the goods that you'll be using to take care of your goods from Manscaped. Manscaped is the leader in below-the-waist grooming. Now you can trust them with the whole shebang. Join the 4 million men worldwide as you can trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. That's promo code Farzy for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Just use promo code Farzy at manscaped.com for 20% off. How about 20% off your CBD order at Freestone Farm CBD? All you got to do, once again, use the promo code Farzy at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their strain menu. It's incredible. And here's something else they'll guarantee you. This is amazing. They grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM. So there's nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Whew. It's fantastic. You'll enjoy their Bayox, the tropical tasting Bayox. That's off the charts. It clocks in at a chart topping 24.1%. And Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys are absolutely off the charts. Go to FreestoneFarmCBD.com. That's FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off your Freestone Farm CBD order at Freestone Farm CBD. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. And how about Blue Chew? Now, a lot of you say, Mark, why didn't you have Trey do the Blue Chew read? Because I completely forgot. But maybe in the future, next time Trey's on, maybe I'll have him do the read. Maybe I'll do the read and he could critique me, give me a few pointers on what words to emphasize in the read. He can do it for Manscaped. He can do it for Blue Chew and BlueChew.com. And for those that don't know, Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form at a fraction of the cost. By now, you probably heard of Blue Chew. Go to BlueChew.com, use promo code Farzy, and receive your first month free. First order of Blue Chew, free. Just pay $5 shipping. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, and here's their process. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days, and it's all done online. Also, Blue Chew's licensed medical providers will work with you to find the right ingredient at the right strength for your prescription. If you don't like swallowing pills, no worries. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable, so it's not just a clever name. Blue Chew's tablets are also made right here in the good old US of A, and they prepare and ship directly to your house, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. Once again, special deal for our listeners and our viewers. Try Blue Chew for free. When you get your first month free and use promo code Farzy, just pay $5 shipping. That's promo code Farzy at BlueChew.com for your first month free. Let's jump into the chat check, see how all you guys are doing. Let me just get rid of this here. I just want to take a look at the poll question, if I can. 67% of you did not stay up to watch the Phillies collapse. God bless you. God bless you. Kevin, good morning. Mally, what's going on? Mally, did you get Trey to do a Manscaped promo? I did not. Miss Guzzi. Welcome to the historic Phillies collapse. So, you know what they did last night that I thought was a good omen? It was a good sign last night during the game. They got a shot in the crowd of Larry Boa and Pete McCannon. And I thought to myself, Pete McCannon is the last Phillies manager to have a plus 500 record in the month of September. Maybe this is a good sign. Maybe it's a good sign. Wheels fell off. No, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Wheels fell off shortly after that. Biggest comeback in Arizona history. 3-11 in Arizona since 2017. They lost their last 5. Now they've lost 6 in a row at Arizona. No hits after the 3rd inning. Was it after the 3rd or the 4th? Whatever it was, there was no hits. It was pretty terrible. Yeah, after the 4th inning, the Phillies failed to get a hit after the 4th inning. Julian, good morning. What's going on? Oh, wow, Julian, you're fired up over this, brother. The CBD sponsor for the show. Wait, what? I like how Mally. I like how you're working in the plugs of the sponsor in the chat. Julian, have a Freestone Farm CBD. Gene Segura not only made the era, he left 5 guys on base. That's true. Yeah, he didn't have himself a good day at the plate either. Mally just used the pain with this franchise. Nola will get, wow, Julian. See, people are often like, you're too negative. Like they say this all the time about anyone that talks about sports. You're you're being too negative. What do you want me to do? Break out the pom-poms? No, I don't. What credibility do you get from just breaking out pom-poms? You got to be real. Like if I tell you I got the dark thoughts in my mind about a September collapse and how losing to the Pirates in the 3rd game of that series, getting shut out in the third game back with Bryce Harper, yeah, I'm going to tell you there's cause for concern. Historic collapse where you're up 7-0 in the 4th inning. Your pitchers can't find the strike zone. Yeah, I'm going to tell you I'm a little concerned. And when historically speaking, 9 years, one time you've had a better than 500 record in September, and September's looming and you're 2 games up in a wild card spot, stranger things have happened. And to blow that lead. Julian, I totally agree. Thompson let his pitchers stay in there way too long. I couldn't believe that he had nobody up in the pen. Bases were loaded. Like Christopher said, you could tell he had nothing. Like I'm watching all these like sliders, breaking balls out of the strike zone, and I'm like, what is happening here? He got one fortunate call on an inside fastball that got called a strike. He had the guy's name is escaping me right now. Yeah, Stone Garrett. He swung at a couple of pitches out of the strike zone in that 5th inning against Sanchez. He ended up striking out. He was the first out of that inning after you gave up the leadoff double to Marte. Then you walked Walker. Then you walked Rivera. Yeah, the bases loaded with nobody out. Garrett strikes out swinging. Then McCarthy. Then I forgot you hit a batter. Terrible. Cardinals overtake the Eagles 13-7 after Rager disguises as Gene Segura. Mullet, good morning. Great line. Right, Ray, what's going on? I'm afraid this could be the beginning of their yearly collapse, losing a game like that. Thank God I went to bed. Ray, that's what I'm saying, brother. That's what I'm saying. I'm always concerned about it because it's lingering over all our heads. We know what has happened in the history of the Phillies in September. They have been god-awful in the month of September. We all know it. Nola's game tonight will tell you whether or not he comes or whether or not here comes the collapse. It's all about Nola tonight. Philly's not. Sean Gillespie says, don't flush it. Take a picture of it. That way we never forget. 2 poop emojis. It's sadly going to happen. Phillies don't have clutch players. Too many easy plays that are errors, can't hit in the clutch, etc. Julian, that's just certainly what it looked like last night. T-Bro, what's up? Looking forward to a trade day. There's a good trade day there with Trey Thomas today joining the program. Fuji, hola, ¿cómo estás? I think I told you guys, and Fuji said hola, so I think I told you guys Lil Toots goes to a Spanish, she goes to like a Spanish-speaking school. Okay. Just because my wife and I love culture, and on top of everything, it's an incredible school. It's just a great school. So we had some of her Spanish speaking friends over recently. It was Lil Toots' birthday. Lil Toots turned 3. And they one of our friends brought his mom, who's from Chile, and speaking no English, okay? And I'm listening to this conversation being had in my house, totally in Spanish. I took Spanish for 8 years in school, all right, at Our Lady of Mount Carmel and then Archbishop Wood. I have taught myself more Italian than I learned in the 8 years of the Spanish that I took in school. And that's 1,000% my own damn fault. And they always said, you're going to look back on this and wish you learned it. And I was like, well, why don't you offer Italian? I'll learn that because, like, I have a vested interest in learning Italian. Like, I don't have a vested interest in learning Spanish. I'm learning Spanish because you're telling me I have to learn Spanish. And I was one of those kids that just, like, I respected authority, but I didn't like them, you know? And I'm listening to this conversation, and I am in my head as they're talking. So I am not bilingual. I am one lingual, unilingual. And I'm listening to this and I'm translating things they're saying in my 8th grade Spanish. And I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying. I'm trying really hard. It's not happening. It is just not happening. And I would be trying to say things to the mom in Spanish, and I'd be thinking in Italian and trying to speak in Spanish. Like I'm trying, like my first English to Italian, then to Spanish. And I'm like, what is happening in my brain? And yet my daughter like understands everything. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. A child's mind it really is a sponge. They learn so quick. It's unbelievable. And here's the other thing. Little Toots also, you know what else she's learning? You know what else she's learning? Negotiation. That has nothing to do with her school, but I'm just saying she's learning negotiation. A lot of times in our house, we'll set the timer. We'll tell, I don't want to say her name, you know, the little robot thing that plays music for you in your house, because I don't want to set her off in your house. But we say, hey, you set the timer for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Now, whenever we ask Little Toots to do something, she's like, no, 10 minutes. And then she'll yell at that little bot to set the timer for 10 minutes. Like she's learning now. No, 15. No, 15 minutes. It's wild, man. It's wild. Just insane. April, there you are, starting 7th grade. God bless you. God bless you. Mr. Snuffy. The Mr. Snuffy. Hello, Mr. Snuffy. Wish you were on longer. Well, it's a little past 7. It's a little past 7, so we're going a little longer today. But yeah. If I don't get an extended Farzy show, says John Cheeseborough, I hope both sides of your pillow are warm. How dare you, sir? Farzy, if we don't get an extended show, I hope you have watery ketchup. Oh, John! Jeez, man. Cheeseborough. If we don't get a started show, I hope the next time you go to self-checkout, all of them are in use, and there's that one person with a cart full of their weekly groceries. John, you cut me deep. Because I just went to a little grocery store recently called Trader Joe's, and I'd never been to a Trader Joe's before. My wife's a big fan. And, you know, it was nice. Except for they bag your groceries. They bag your groceries at knife point. Like there's no bag. Like I bag my groceries. At least in the city one, there's no self-checkout or anything like that. But even when I don't do self-checkout, even when I go through the line and with a nice little person, I always bag my own groceries. If there's no bagger, I go and bag my groceries because I think it helps everybody. Plus, I want to know where everything is and what bag and all that stuff. But I hate when someone's got the full bag or the full cart and they're just sitting there as the person's ringing things up. And then the person's going to stop and then bag everything and everyone's waiting in line. I'm like, just bag your own groceries. Now, maybe that's my OCD. I don't know, but I think probably is. But I like to bag my own groceries for the benefit that I know where everything is. Also, I'm not afraid to overcrowd a bag. I know a lot of times those people are afraid. But at Trader Joe's, this guy's standing there. I got a cart full of stuff and he's bagging all my groceries and I feel bad. Meanwhile, and I even told him, I said, hey, man, I just want to let you know what's going on in my head right now because I can't not speak out loud for more than 10 minutes. But I was like, this is driving me crazy. I said, you're doing a great job. This is nothing against you. This is 100% on me. But, like, is there anything I can do to help? And he's like, oh, no, man, we got this. This is what we do. He was like one of those guys that just loved bagging groceries. Like, he was so enthusiastic about bagging groceries. He's like, no, man, I got it. It's totally fine. I love doing this. It's my favorite thing ever. Owen Wilson was bagging my groceries. All right, anyway. Tyvita, what's going on? Lot going on. Back in the 80s with no air conditioning, they never closed the schools, especially in September. Did somebody close the schools because it's going to be a hot day? Oh, no. Some schools are closed because it's going to be hot. Tyvita, I had a boyfriend whose mom spoke no English when I was younger. It was very awkward calling and asking for him. Oh my God. Tyvita, yeah, that's it. En La Casa? Hank? Is Hank and En La Casa? No? Tyvita, I don't know if his name was Hank, but it's just the name I like throwing out in random situations. Hank? Donde está Hank? Anyway. The only thing she understood was his name. Okay, that's good. Good times. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Phillies back at it against the Diamondbacks tonight. Looking to shake off last night's epic collapse. Historically terrible, awful, gross collapse. Aaron Nola will be on the hill for the Phillies tonight, looking to set the ship straight after 2 straight losses. And then embarrassing loss last night. Aaron Nola coming off the complete game shutout against the Reds. And we're all hoping he gets back on track tonight. So hopefully that happens. 9:40 start time, as all these games are in Arizona. And then they go to face the San Francisco Giants after that. I mentioned earlier I wanted to get to this A.J. Brown cut. Here it is, rather quote board. This is PJ. Is it up there? I can't tell, but there it is. Okay. This is from Josh Tolentino of Inquirer.com. A.J. Brown said he had a speech today in front of the team that stressed accountability. Of that speech, he said, I wouldn't say a word if I wasn't doing the right thing. If I wasn't doing the right thing. You hold your best players accountable. It's a standard. I feel like I'm one of the best players here. And you know what? By golly, you are. So here's hoping that message. First off, I don't like the idea that he had to address the team. I wish I knew the better context of the situation. Went back, watched the press conference, couldn't get it. But in terms of him having to address the team, you always want guys to feel like they can step up. You always want guys that are new to the team to feel like they can step up. And A.J. Brown feels like he has been here for a long time. And maybe that's because we've been watching him in the workout videos with Jalen Hurts throughout the offseason. Maybe that's because he's got a good relationship with Jalen Hurts from Jump Street. This is a guy that was traded on draft night to the Eagles. And it already feels like he's been here for like 5 years. But for a new guy to come in here, and it helps that he's certainly not like an old, wily veteran or anything, but he's much more of a veteran-type player going into his 4th year in the NFL, and he's got the guy like Devontae Smith going into his 2nd year. So I'm sure these guys look up to him as that wily veteran more so than most would. But if he feels like he needs to say something, if something needs to be said, and accountability is the theme of his speech, yeah, we can all get on that same page. Always hold these guys accountable. Like, I really hope Rob Thompson is holding these guys accountable after last night's game. Yeah, you got to flush it. Yeah, you got to move on from it, but to also learn from it. Have it motivate you, hopefully to win tonight. But A.J. Brown, congratulations to him expecting his first child, and also love the idea of him holding other players accountable. And he's not doing it unless he is playing at the level that he knows he can play at as well. So that's great, or at least performing at the level he knows he can perform at as well. Zach Gallen is getting the start tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Got a 3.08 ERA. And he's 9-10 on the season. Or excuse me, he's got a 2.66 ERA. He's 9-2 on the season. He's had himself a hell of a year. He's a right-handed pitcher for the Diamondbacks. Aaron Nola is 9-10 with a 3.08 ERA, coming off that shutout performance against the those guys, the Reds. So keep our fingers crossed that this guy, Aaron Nola, is on top of things for the Phillies tonight. That's the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer here at the Steven Singer Studios. Jim Hyde produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. My thanks to my man Trey Thomas. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Here's hoping we're talking about a much better Phillies game tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.